Give us just a little bit more information just about why should you have insurance and what is it for? And specifically, let's talk car and household insurance, like home insurance, to start off with. Don't you want to just give us an overview about that from your side?
And sorry, also the introduction.
Absolutely, sorry.
Yeah, so again from my side, also just thanks for having me. I think it's a nice session that we've put together, and really looking forward to hearing from everybody on the panel and also to hearing people's questions. I think, as you say, it's a good topic. So by way of introduction, first, I am one of the founders of Naked. Naked is a technology business that we started about 4 or 5 years ago with the purpose of building technology that gives people instant, convenient access to insurance, specifically short-term insurance, and letting people interact with the insurance without having to speak to a call center. And we focus on short-term insurance predominantly because it's a product that the three of us that started Naked had worked in for many years, but also because we really believe it's a fundamentally important product. I mean, you mentioned earlier that typically life insurance or investments, and especially all sorts of exotic investments like crypto and the like, that's typically the thing that gets more airtime, and I guess understandably so, because you put money in and you see that money grow, and that money stays your money, and hopefully at some point you start getting some dividends or some rental payments, or at some point you start selling it, or you sell that investment and you actually have some money in the bank. So it's really something that I'm super excited about, to see a lot of people getting excited about personal finance and investment. But as you say, short-term insurance is often the left behind one, not spoken about as much. And from my point of view, the reality is that short-term insurance is, in summary, the protection of your assets in a way that guarantees that your lifestyle or your financial position will not be significantly different if something bad were to happen. Now, something bad could be your actual asset being damaged or stolen, or something bad could be you deemed to be liable for somebody else's assets being damaged. And so when we talk about short-term insurance, obviously the primary one is car insurance. That's the one that gets bought the most. That's the one that is often focused on. So car insurance is of course, how do I protect my car itself? But also, how do I make sure that if I am responsible, or even just partly responsible, for an accident that damages that expensive Ferrari, or even damages someone else's wall, or damages the municipality's traffic lights, I will be held financially liable. And by having insurance, I protect myself against that risk. And then, in addition to car insurance, of course, the most common other short-term insurance is buildings insurance, that actually protects the physical structure that you live in, if you own that structure, or you've borrowed money from the bank to own that structure. And then home insurance, or contents insurance, which is referring to the actual things that live inside your home, whether you rent or buy or own your home, the actual things inside, like your clothes, things that are valuable to you inside your house. If any of those things get damaged or stolen or burnt down, you need cover to make sure that you are not in a worse off financial position when that event happens. But also, very importantly, and I'll stop with the intro in a second, very importantly, why insurance exists is to make sure that you don't become a burden on the rest of society if that event happens. So insurance started by people saying, we recognize that all of us should put a little bit of money in a pot, and then that pot can look after the few unfortunate people that were hit by a bad event, rather than us having to cater for that event when that event happens, and now we need to look after people. So everybody should rather be proactively participating in this pot by protecting themselves, by paying the little bit of premium up front to protect against those events.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So I'd like to tell a story, if I may, about my experience that I've had about like a couple of months ago. I was actually in a parking lot and a car drove into me from the back, so basically reversed back into me. And I have to say it was quite a bit of a fright, for me, because like, oh my goodness, like it's not only about my car damage, but it's also about like this person now taking my details and like getting this call from the insurer saying I drove into them. And then I have to say that was quite a bit of a shocker for me. But I have to say, I literally what I did, and as you know, I'm going to say it, I'm insured with naked insurance as well. I basically gave them naked insurance details, and I was like, you go and handle them. And I can tell you something, just from a perspective of being, like comfortable, like being at that point where I can literally just say, it's somebody else's problem. Now the insurer can handle them for me, that I don't have to sit those calls. For me, that was really, really wonderful.
I mean, so maybe I should just quickly jump in on the topic of third-party liability specifically, because I think it's such an important one. A fact that not a lot of people are aware of is that in most countries around the world, it is mandatory to have at least third-party insurance. So when you buy that license disc on an annual basis, in most countries, you can only get that license disc if you can prove that you have a third-party insurance policy. And the reason they do that is because the risk of you driving into a high-value car is just too great. It is just too irresponsible to take that risk of potentially hitting a 5 million rand Ferrari, because then you're gonna be paying off that damage for the rest of your life. So that risk simply is too great. And even for people that can't afford comprehensive insurance, in those countries they're saying you're not allowed to own this car if you don't at least have third-party insurance. And something that's, it's really unfortunate in South Africa that we don't have that legislation anymore. But from a responsibility perspective, I really want to encourage people to not take that risk. Even if you feel comprehensive car insurance is too expensive, do not take the risk of driving without at least third-party insurance, because it really can change your life forever if you're in one of those events and you don't have that cover.
Can I jump in and ask a question quick, Ernest? Does third-party insurance only cover you if you knock another car? Or say, for example, you drive into someone's property, like their perimeter wall, would your third-party insurance cover that, or is it only for other cars?
It's a great question. So third-party insurance is for any other property damage. So that includes when you drive into someone's house and their wall. It even includes if you drive into a municipality traffic light or a road light, or you do damage to one of the barriers in the middleman, for example, and the municipality wants to sue you. That does happen, and then third-party liability protects you against it. So it's for any damage to assets, to any assets of anybody else that you do damage to, it covers you. It does not cover you for damage to the person itself, fences, etc. That's why we have the road accident fund.
Okay.
Awesome. So I think let's just be clear. I think it's just for stupid people like me. So when we say third party, I can have third party insurance then without having, like literally just covering other people. But if I crash my own car, then if I only have third party, then my car wouldn't be covered, but the other person's car then would be covered if it was a car accident with two cars, right? Is that correct?
Exactly. So the name third party comes from it's a contract between you and your insurance company. So you are the first party, your insurance company is the second party. The two of you have a contract that says if anybody else, that's the third party, gets damage as a result of you driving your car, and that third party wants to sue you, the insurance company will cover all those costs. So you're spot on. You have no cover at all for your own car if you only buy a third-party policy. So for somebody that has their car financed, for example, it is really not a good idea to buy third-party insurance, because if your car is financed and it gets written off, but you're not paid out for your actual car, then you still have to pay your car to the bank, but you don't actually have the car itself, and you're not being sort of compensated by the insurance policy. So third-party insurance is not ideal if you have an expensive car or if your car is financed, but it is definitely better than nothing. And the sad reality is that 2/3, literally 67% of people in South Africa drive without even having third-party insurance.
Can I ask a question just to follow up Brandon Frugal, if I may?
Oh, please.
Good evening, everyone. Est here. So I just wanted to find out something. As I'm listening to you speak, I'm just thinking around the myths around insurance and why people don't really get insurance per se. So, some of the myths are, I can live without it. Insurance is insurance. Insurance sometimes tries to find a way not to pay out claims. Can you just maybe elaborate on that, on some of the myths and of why people don't get insurance, just to allay the fears?
Apologies for that. It seems like that thing literally, the app just crashed. But I'm back.
Cool. No, we got S's question, and that was a really good question. I think to start with the last one that you said, sort of the often spoken about question or perception that it's not even worth getting insurance because they're just going to reject claims. I can understand to some extent why in some conversations that sort of stigma exists. But I have to start with 2 or 3 important points. The first one is South Africa has an incredibly well-regulated financial services sector. It literally is right up there in terms of the best, with some of the best in the world. So the regulators, so that means the conduct authority, the prudential authority, the ombuds bodies, etc., are very, very strict and controlling in terms of the people that actually offer financial services. And so the perception of insurance is something I buy, but I shouldn't really expect to be able to claim from it. It's really a risk that we are protected against as consumers by the fact that our industry is really well regulated. And so the second thing I want to say as to why that myth is increasingly something that's not true is the beautiful age that we live in digital user journeys where everything is online, reviews are online, and even something like the details of your cover is shown to you online. It is a much easier user journey to look on the website or look on the app when you buy your cover and to make sure that you're comfortable with the thing that you are buying, and to look at the exclusions and to look at the conditions and to tell yourself, yes, am I comfortable buying this policy? Am I clear as to what I'm actually getting? And so I think the dark ages of 30 or 50 or 100 years ago of a financial advisor or potentially even a sort of a phone call advisor selling something without the consumer really buying, I think to a large extent that is being challenged or changed by the fact that consumers are equipped and empowered to do things themselves online and to clearly see the details of the cover and to clearly understand how their cover works. So I think the concern you raise is definitely one that is extremely valid, because it's something that is very prevalent in how people see insurance. But the reality of the success stories of people having insurance experiences that where afterwards they realize they would have been in big trouble if they had not had that. I think we're in an exciting time also through sort of digital and online referrals and that sort of thing, that slowly but surely the groundswell is coming, and the real good news in terms of what do I need, how do I get it, okay, let me buy it because I really can't live without it. I think it is on the improve, and so I'm excited about that journey.
I think just to touch on that question that S was asking, from my experience, I normally get a lot of people asking me, which insurance should I go for? Which one is the cheapest? And I normally say to people, the best insurance is actually the one that you understand the best, because insurance is not a guarantee. There are certain terms and conditions and, etc. that you have to be comfortable with. So that, for example, if you happen to go over the speed limit by 40 kilometers and you crash into someone or you have an accident, chances are your claim will be declined. Know that if you're out after midnight, you're high risk, and there's a very high chance that it could be excluded in your contract. So don't just look at the low price, because I think as people, that's what we